And we are back. Let's go, EJ. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to SwampCast. It's Logan and CJ. Look, man, this has been a month now, I believe, or a month and a half since we've been back. But listen, it's worth it because we got some content for y'all today, baby. EJ's feeling good, man. You got the gorilla hat on, baby. We're not playing around. We got some stuff to get to, man. I'm hyped. Also, we're starting to get there a little bit. As you guys can see, I've hung a lot of shit up. EJ's getting there, man. He's excited. It's gonna be lit, bro. I cannot wait. And man, I swear, EJ, it gets better and better, bro. Basketball doing their thing. Now the 2026 SEC champions, baby. Huge win. Just destroyed Arkansas. That felt so good, dude. Juicy win there. The baseball team, since that first loss against UAB opening night, they're bouncing back, have not lost a game since. And you have John Summerall in the swamp with a legitimate alligator, baby. We're up right now. Baby. It's great. We got a lot of stuff we're going to dive into. EJ, number one, bro, how are you doing, bro? How are you feeling? How does it feel to see this Gator basketball team especially, man, lock in?
Yo, it's incredible. Like, what can we say? Guys, we're on cloud nine. If you're a Florida Gator fan, just in general, you're on cloud nine. But especially if you are a basketball fan and you're a Florida Gator, like we went through, how many years did we go through without, it's been 10 years, 12 years that we've had a program where we felt like we could compete at the highest level every single year. And it feels really good, man. And I'm happy to see that you're moving in, you're getting everything set up. I know we both moved, so that's why we kind of
at the same time.
We've been
it's crazy.
I know we moved at the same exact time, so I'm in Oakland, This is technically my view. So you can kind of see the city in the background there from my building. And I know I haven't visited Orlando yet, but gotta check you out when I do.
I love it, baby. I love it. EJ, we got a lot to get to, so let's not waste any time, man. The men's basketball team, like you just stated, man, won the 2026 SEC championship. I believe 9 wins in a row now, if I'm not mistaken. And, it's funny. We were everyone was kind of stressing early on, right? Xavier Lee, Boogie not really playing up to what he's doing. Turnovers, especially from Lee early on. It was a little bit sketch. But looking back, I just want to talk about our 6 losses because we have 6 losses on the year. Number 1, Duke. Number 2, Arizona. Number 6, UConn are 3 of our 6 losses. Unbelievable. And then the other 3 have TCU, Auburn, and Missouri. Auburn and Missouri really just SEC play. You know what I mean? You're playing legit programs one after another, and there's some sketchy teams in there that can take you at any moment. But number 7 in the country, like I said, 9-win streak, EJ. You presented a PowerPoint that we're going to get to here in a second, but what's your overall thoughts on this team and seeing this turnaround to actually take the SEC like this?
Yeah, man. I mean, I appreciate that you talked about those 6 losses because this is a team that has still lost 6 games, and those 6 games feel like a million years ago from the way things are going now to how things were. And it's just with coaching. It's 100% coaching. Todd Golden, I think, wasn't even mentioned last year when it came to Coach of the Year talk. He'll probably get a little bit more buzz this year. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But this is a coach that was able to take a roster that was fundamentally different from last year, right? Like we literally lost the entire backcourt, all 3 starting guards who are all in the NBA, plus Aberdeen, who was your guard off the bench. He's now at Kentucky. You had to replace all those guys, and we went through some turbulence in the first part of the season. We'll look at we did a comparison to the first 15 games of the season to now the last 14 games of the season, where we were 10-5 in the first 15, and now we're 13-1 in the last 14. Just looking at the first half versus the second half and just see how things are trending. But it's just an incredible coaching job. This team, I think, in many ways is playing more together um, and have a little bit more team chemistry than even last year's team. Because last year's team, remember, at the end of the day, when things got rough, Walter Clayton Jr. was going to bail you out. This year, we don't have that luxury. So I think the team has had to lock in a lot more. And man, yesterday, we've now had, I think that was our fourth game this season where our opponent was technically in second place in the SEC. And we had a game to kind of highlight and showcase who's really the best team in the SEC. We played a game against Vanderbilt where that was the case. We played a game against Texas A&M, which that were the case. They were the number 2 team in the conference. We played a game against Kentucky where that was a battle of first place because it had Kentucky won that game, they would have been in first place. And now this game against Arkansas. Technically, if Arkansas would have won the game, we would have still been in first place. But it was just number 1 versus number 2 in the SEC. And in all 3 of those games, or 4 of those games, Florida has won in resounding fashion. So we're really excited and pumped to see that.
Of course, man. Always a blast. Well, you talked about the presentation. Let's go ahead and throw that bad boy up because you worked hard on this. And it's up on your screen now. So, like EJ was saying, and I'll let him take the reins here. He knows a lot more about basketball than me, but this is the Florida's transformation. We're on that first slide. First 15 to the last 14 games. And there's all kinds of stats here, EJ, you could dive into.
Yeah, so, this is just a quick chart that we put together. If you just take a look at where we were and, how we've pretty much where we've, come so far. The first 15 games of the year included those 3 losses to top 5 teams, basically. UConn, Duke, and Arizona are pretty much going to be number 1 seeds in the tournament. And those 3 games, we didn't really have a really good half-court attack on offense. We let Arizona, Duke, and UConn's defense, which we'll look at. All 3 of those teams have really good defensive efficiency numbers. We let those teams sort of restrict the number of good shot attempts that we got. And we didn't really leverage our defense to create more steals and fast break opportunities to score more points. And we were shooting poorly from 3, largely because we didn't have a really good offensive flow. We were just relying on offensive rebounds and kickbacks. And then the other 3 games, TCU, Missouri, and Auburn, those are 3 teams that have a unique defensive-minded sort of just identity as a team. And we didn't have the half-court offense figured out. And those teams were just able to end up at the end of the game with more points because our guard play could not score enough to compensate for what they needed to do to win us those games and just end up with more points. But if you just look at the some of these stats, field goal percentage, first half of the season 44%, second half of the season 51%. What's the significance of that? I did some research and I was looking at this. So in the last 30 years, guys, there have only been 2 national champions who have shot less than 47% on the year field goal percentage. So if you're looking at, like, you're doing your March Madness bracket and you're saying, okay, who's going to win the championship? If the team doesn't shoot 47% or better on the season from field goal percentage, they're not going to win the national championship. The only teams to do that were 2011 UConn, who had Kemba Walker, who just went crazy. I think they were like 46%. And I think maybe it was one of the Villanova teams, but that team shot a lot of threes, so they made up for it. With our last 14 games shooting, we're now 47.6% shooting on the season, which puts us in that championship tier, what you need to be able to do. Defensive field goal percentage, look at that. 42% the first 15 to 38% in the second half. That's probably a difference. Like, if you think about like 100 shot attempts, okay, 42% versus 38%, that's what? 10 points, 10 points difference. And it's exactly when you look at opponent's points per game, the difference in the field goal percentage allowed and opponent's points per game is exactly correlated. At 4 or 5% correlates about 10 points difference. So we're allowing 10 points fewer a game because of that field goal percentage, which is insane to think about. 66 points a game in the last 14 games. That's incredible. One of the most important stats is a 3-point percentage. First half of the season, we're under 30%. Second half, we're now 32.5. One of the other stats in the last 30 champions since 1996, there's been 0 teams, 0, that have won the national championship shooting under 30% threes. So the fact that we are now, I think we're at 30.4 on the season. We're now back in that championship tier for 3-point shooting. And then obviously the points per game and the rebound margin are, ridiculous. The rebound margin is interesting because in order to get rebounds, you have to actually miss offensive rebounds. You have to miss shots. In the last couple of games, we've been shooting around 60%. So it's hard to get offensive rebounds when you make everything. I say all that to say, we've gone from a team that was not a championship level team statistically. We didn't have the statistical profile of a team that could win the championship to now a month and a half later, 45 days later, we do. So that's huge.
100%. The couple ones, I mean, obviously the field goal percentage having that drastic of an increase is going to obviously, directly affect a lot of these other, data points here. But a couple big ones for me is number one, obviously opponent's point per game going to go way, way down. I mean, down 10 points. Obviously, that's because I'm assuming of how good the offense is doing, right? We're able to have more ball control, do what we want to do better there. The rebound margin is gorgeous, dude. From 2.5 to 8.7. I mean, like you said, we went from a team that was obviously a big step back from last year and a team that's now found their identity. These guys are coming off the bench, whether it's, Clav, whether it's even Isaiah Brown coming out these past few games too.
Yeah.
And they're really playing their game. I feel like also too, one thing, EJ, is you have Xavier Lee and Boogie Flan coming in this year. Two guys that I think are really carrying their offensive load at their previous schools, right? And I feel like they came into this thinking, all right, well, now we stop to play this hero ball. But you have one of the best the best front court in the country, right?
Correction.
And so up there in the paint. And so when you're able to realize, hey, it's not just on you, and actually give them the ball, let them work, let them do their thing. At least once again, I don't know basketball like you, but just from observations, that's kind of what I'm seeing. Is there's more of an actual dynamic here. There's more of a I don't know, just more coherent team and a team that's really working with each other. And you can see that from the front court all the way to the back court now to even the guys on the bench. And like you said, it's a coaching thing. I think it's also just a team dynamic thing. I think it's just a team chemistry getting better and better each and every game. And I think what makes and breaks a very good basketball team, and it's just sports in general, I think, EJ, and something that needs to be acknowledged, is what do you do with those losses? What did they do with that Missouri loss? What did they do with that TCU loss?
Exactly.
And they learned from it. They got better. You know what I mean? It made them closer together and have a better team chemistry. And I think you're really seeing that, man. And these stats are a really good way to really bring that to light because, like you said, I mean, the defense is getting better. Because if you fix one aspect of your team, no matter what sport it is, you'll see it start to bleed over into other aspects of the game. Dude, this is a really, really fun team to watch. And I haven't done it, but I'm sure if you go back and watch any of those, early games, whether it's, the tip-off with Arizona or whatever it is, and then go watch a game that just occurred, go even to the, Arkansas game, for example, you're going to see an entirely different team that plays with more confidence, more speed, and an actual, team chemistry that's really there, dude. So, yeah, no, it's really cool, man. I love following them and seeing them kind of figure it out. And once again, like you said, Todd Golden, to get these guys to come over here and find this talent that he has on this team while also just changing the entire scheme from one year to the next is what a great coach does. It's something that Bill Belichick does when he was coach. Like, people could talk about how Tom Brady carried him, whatever. One thing that he did defensively in the NFL, every single game plan was totally different, dude. He changed his game plan around the opponent every single game. and his approach. And so I think that's the definition of a great coach and a championship caliber coach. And that's what you're seeing with Todd Golden.
I couldn't have said it better. Like Todd Golden is, you know, I know it's early. Is this like his fifth year? Is it fourth year? Is this fourth year or his fifth year? No, it's fourth year.
His fourth.
Dang, it's great. Listen, guys, what makes a good coach, and Logan and I were talking about this before, is, and this applies to any sport, football, basketball, whatever it is, it's just a coach that can just see what's happening to their team on the field, on the court, be able to explain it very simply and make the adjustments that actually work. You know, the issues that we had with Mike White or with Billy Napier is when they made adjustments, whether it was in-game or strategic, like recruiting, like we need to fix our offensive line, we need to fix our quarterback, we need to fix our, play at, defensive end. It never worked. The things did not work. And connecting a vision, a championship vision, like we want to be national champions. Okay. That's the vision. How do we create that? Todd Golden is just a coach that can see that very clearly and execute and make it happen. And he didn't do it with going out there and getting all the 5-star Duke recruits where they can line up 5-star after 5-star. And, they're going to have the National Player of the Year again this year at Duke. He didn't go and get those. Like he went and got Thomas Houck, which, Tommy wanted to be a Gator, but no one really wanted Thomas Houck. I mean, if you look at the Alex Condon, no one really knew who he was. Walter Clayton Jr. played at Iona. Okay, Will Richard was playing at Belmont. Okay, Elijah Martin had a pretty good pedigree when he came over, but Ruben Chinyelu, he was a freshman over at Washington State. I mean, you can go Urban Klavjar. They found him in playing ball in Slovenia. He's put together this team of like, I don't want to say misfits, but everyone has a unique story. He put all those pieces together, and he's figured out how to create just a powerhouse of a team. And I'll go back to one of the things you did say is we did play Duke, Arizona, and UConn, 3 teams that are national championship contenders. One of the interesting things I want to look at is now that we've done this comparison to where here's how our first half of the season looked to now how it looks this. What about those teams? Is Duke performing this better marginally the second half of the season than they did the first half? I mean, they did have a tremendous win over Michigan. They did have a tremendous, they absolutely destroyed Notre Dame. But, Notre Dame is like terrible at basketball. But, is Arizona materially better in the second half of the season as they were? Like, if those teams were to play now, that's what I want to look at. And I think the next slide, we can look into really quick at some of the analytics, which determine like your seed in the tournament and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I have it on the screen now, AJ, if you want to talk about it.
Okay.
Our heads are kind of blocking a little bit of it. You'll see, but it's literally just the very top. So basically what my head is blocking is just saying Florida's transformation, first 15 to last 14 games, same thing as earlier, with the metric being what I'm blocking, and EJ is blocking change. So
oh, okay,
it's nothing.
Really. Yeah, we can probably go to the next one.
Think so? All right.
Yeah, because that one is just the
actual visual one right now. Yep.
Yeah, that one is just more of the NCAA net rankings one is really the that's one that I think that confuses a lot of people. Because just in passing we talk to folks around like how do teams get the number 1 seed or number 2 seed or whatever, what goes into it. And okay, yeah, we got it on the screen now. So one thing, and this is the thing that I really hope they bring to football when it comes to the committee ranking the top 12. And I think we're going to get 14 next year. I think I'm not for sure. Are we going to get 14 teams next year?
In the football playoff.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I don't know what's going on anymore. There's spouts of 24, 16. I think it's 12, but I can look that up for you real quick. I don't even know anymore. It's a joke.
It is a joke. Like it's so stupid. Anyway, basketball at least has a little bit of a science to it to where coaches can think big picture as to what do we need to do from a scheduling standpoint to so we can play tougher opponents because that factors into your net rankings. What do we need to do from a metric standpoint so that we can stand out in some of the key metrics that the committee looks at when it comes to ranking teams? Todd Golden is probably, I'd probably say, the best coach right now in the country at looking at those metrics. We just played John Calipari, who's a Hall of Fame coach. He's a really good coach, but he's more old school. Like even you look at his staff, I'm remembering like a lot of these the faces on his staff. They're old school guys. They're not really looking at analytics and how that play. They're just trying to go out there and beat you with just better players. Todd Golden is like, no, we got to look at the analytics. So how basketball does it is they look at your overall record. They don't look at necessarily your wins because in football, we're boneheaded mindless and we just look at, well, you lost 4 games, even though you could have played like the number one streak, even though you could have lost the number one, number two, number three, and number four. You lost 4 games, right? So in basketball, it doesn't really matter. We have an undefeated Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio basketball is currently like 29-0 right now. And they're a bubble team because they haven't played anyone. Their strength of schedule is like in the 200s. So anyway, real quick, they look at your record versus quad one, quad two, and then 3 and 4. And what's quad one and quad two? So quad one, if you say I have a quad one victory, that's a team that you beat that was a quad one opponent. And how do you a quad one opponent? Well, if you're ranked in the top 30 of the net, uh, if you play that team at home, if you play them on a neutral court, they're in the top 50. If you play them on the road, and they're in the top 75. Quad two, they do the same rankings, except if you play a home game versus someone 31 through 75, it's quad two, et cetera, et cetera. How many teams in the first quadrant did you beat? The committee looks at that and they compare them to other teams that have the same record as you. There are sometimes they're only looking at your quad one record. They're not even looking at your overall record. They're just saying, okay, who's the best team in the country based on quadrant rankings? Right now, versus quad one and quad two, Florida has the fourth most wins in the country in basketball versus quad one and quad two. We have 16. We have 16 quad one and quad two victories. We're 16-6. 11 of those 16 wins are in quadrant one, which is insane for a Florida team who I think, under Mike White, I think the most quad one wins that we ever had was 8. I think we had 8 wins back in 2018 when we got a number 4 seed. But anyway, they also look at statistics to help them sort of evaluate teams for the NCAA tournament. Offensive efficiency, defensive efficiency. I really wish we would look at that on offense in football too. Like, and we can talk about that. Like, one of the things that I think is important, like in offense, is, um, you know, how do you, how many points do you score every time you have the ball per possession? That's pretty much offensive efficiency in a nutshell. And defensive efficiency is how many times do you prevent the other team from scoring when they have the ball, per possession. Um, and in football, I've kind of looked at that as like points per play, so I remember we were looking at that last year, or the year before that when we actually won 8 games. you know, how many points do you score per play? And it actually, I think, would correlate to teams that win games versus teams that lose. But overall, this is just to say that these are the metrics that we look at to determine where our team is and what rank we're going to be. Even though right now that we're number 7 in the polls, the AP polls, the AP poll really is not what the committee looks at all. It's your net ranking, which after the win last night, Florida is 4th in the country in the net ranking. So technically speaking, if you were to just seed teams based on the net rankings, we would be a number 1 seed right now based on the way we're performing relative to the rest of the teams in college basketball. We are also 4th in KenPom, which is a very renowned analytical site that ranks teams based on all these statistics, like how good are you on offense, how good are you on defense. One of the other things that I think is really important to look at, and this is the last thing before we, get off of basketball, maybe talk about like the last couple of games, is in KenPom, one measure of a national champion is whether or not you have a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense. The same thing can be said in football, right? Like Indiana. Like, why did they win the national championship? Well, when they got the ball, they were going to score on you. And when you got the ball, they were going to stop you. Like that. It was as easy as that. Um, right now, according to KenPom, Florida is 4th in the country in defensive efficiency and 11th in offensive efficiency. So we are knocking at the door being top 10 in both. Teams that are top 10 in both are an automatic, you circle them as teams that are going to win the national championship. And I believe of the last 20 national champions, 8 of them, or 18 of them, 18 have been in the top 10 in both offense and defensive efficiency the day the tournament started. The only 2 that weren't, I think, were both UConn, which is an anomaly because UConn had that was the one year they beat us with Shabazz Napier. He was just for some reason unstoppable that tournament. And UConn just they were like a number 7 seed, came out of nowhere, won the tournament, beat us when we were the favorite. And I think it was another UConn team. I'm forgetting the guy's name from like 2011 that also won the championship, and they weren't a top 10. But everyone else, top 10 in both offense and defense. Currently, the 3 teams right now that have that fit that bill are, technically, there's 3 teams that fit that bill right now, not including us. It's Duke, Michigan, and Arizona. And we're right on the door with the 11th ranked offense in the country. So hopefully we can get into the top 10 in the next 2 games because going into March Madness, you just want to at least have that just so that that I guess from a historical standpoint that you're a national championship favorite.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, it's crazy that 2 of those teams we faced, and we didn't get destroyed by either one of those teams, and we were worse. Like that's before this big transformation. Really before the SEC play. So, really, I mean, I hope we get to play those guys again, at least one of them, man. I would love that, and just to see that matchup, compared to what it was at the beginning of the season, man. So, I love it, EJ. Any other things you want to talk about when it comes to basketball? Because I think that's the last. Oh, you have the.
Yeah, we got one more.
Yeah.
Just the SEC. So we did win the SEC regular season last night against Arkansas, but we only won a share of it. So we have a 2-game lead with 2 games left. So in theory, if we lost the last 2 and Alabama won the next 2, we'd both be 14-4. And the SEC they don't do tiebreakers. Like we beat Alabama and we have the same record, so we should win. They don't do that. They just say, okay, you both won the SEC regular season. So Tuesday night against Mississippi State, 8 p.m. Eastern, you all have a chance to watch Florida take on Mississippi State in a game that's not only senior night. Um, so there's a couple of seniors that we got. I think Xavier Lee's a senior. I think Micah Hanlockton's technically a senior, even though he's filing for potential sixth year of eligibility because of his leg injury. Um,
Hmm.
uh, Nobody else is really a senior on this team. I think when you look at Thomas Houck, Alex Condon, Ruben Chinyelu, those are three guys that we think are going to be in the NBA draft. So this could, in theory, be their last game uh, on the Exact Tech Arena, Billy Donovan court on Tuesday night. So it's going to be a big send off for them. In addition to that, if we were to win this game, well, when we're going to win this game, uh, we would be the definitive number one SEC regular season champion, no questions asked, because we have a 2-game lead with only 1 game left, so we'd be able to win it. Um, I will say this though, when you look at Kentucky sitting there at number 6, our last game, regular season game, is in Rupp Arena against Kentucky. Kentucky did have a hard fought game against us in Gainesville. They played a lot better than Arkansas did. I could tell you that. Even though, yeah, and Kentucky did beat Arkansas, so that makes sense. But that's going to be a huge game. And the thing that I'm worried about is that's going to be the game to show me that we're national champions. Like if I'm Todd Golden, I'm like, okay, we're pretty much going to destroy Mississippi State just because Mississippi State is one of the worst teams in the SEC, and they're ranked like in the hundreds in the net. So that not beating that team by like 15 points at least is actually going to hurt us in the analytics because they're so bad. Um, but that Kentucky game is a game where Kentucky's going to be desperate. Okay, they did beat Vanderbilt yesterday. They play Texas A&M, which is a tricky game for them. If they lose that Texas A&M game, they're going to come into that game. The world is going to be against Florida in that game. The refs are going to say, we're going to call every foul in Florida. Kentucky, for some reason, is going to be super motivated because they need a big win because they've been losing games. And that's going to be the game where it's like, okay, can we lock in and win this game, which would be another quad 1 victory, when all the intangibles are seemingly against us? If we can do that, I think we're ready to make a run in that NCAA tournament. So that Kentucky game next Saturday, I'll probably see if I can get on and do a preview, but that's going to be the game that's going to prove if we're ready for March Madness to go back to back or not.
Yeah, I was gonna say something about that. I was looking at the schedule because I was like, yeah, who do we play in these last 2 games? Mississippi State, easy win. Kentucky, I watched that Kentucky game, and they're a hard fought team, man.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those programs you always got to watch out for. And I did, especially with us, especially if we win tomorrow night, SEC is 100% ours at that point. Then yeah, I could see our boys kind of looking ahead, right? But I think that, like you said, it's an important way to end out this season before we get into that tournament. And so I actually was going to talk about that. I wanted to hear your thoughts on it, and I agree that's just one. It's an away game. It's not at home. I think we've only lost 1 home game this entire year, if I'm not mistaken, right, EJ? And then
Yeah.
3 on the road, and then 2 on neutral site. And so we haven't lost a single, or we only lost 1 game at home this entire season. So if it was a home game, I'd feel much better. Going away, we'll see how our boys are getting ready for that. It's gonna be wild.
Well, the interesting thing is, like, statistically speaking, the margin of victory for Florida in this, last half of the season is like 4 points greater on the road than it is at home, which is like crazy to think about. But here's the other interesting thing. So you play 18 games in the SEC. Last year we went 8-1 at home. We went 6-3 on the road last year in the SEC. Now the SEC was a little bit better last year than it is this year. But if we were to beat Kentucky that last game, we would finish the season 8-1 on the road in the SEC, which is insane. If you think about going 8-1 on the road in a conference where you're going to have 11 teams potentially, well, currently there's 11 teams projected to make the tournament. That's got to be a record. Now, actually, let me think about that. Auburn last year, I actually think Auburn went 8-1 last year on the road, if I'm not mistaken. Like they were pretty good. And in 2014, we went 18-0 in the SEC, and then we won the 3 tournament games. So we actually went 21-0 in the SEC that year. But the SEC didn't have 11 tournament teams. One other quick stat before we switch gears. The SEC tournament is very important for this Florida Gator basketball team. I know a lot of teams tend to think like, oh, we already made the tournament. Let's take a break off. We won the regular season. We don't really need to win the tournament. Here's a unique fact about Gator basketball. We have not won the national championship ever in years where we did not also win the SEC tournament. So in 2006 and 2007, when we went back to back, we won the SEC tournament both of those years. In 2025, last year, when we won the national championship, guess what? We also won the SEC tournament. So I don't know if that's like a jinx. Like, I'm not saying we don't have to win the SEC tournament, but the Florida Gators have never won the national championship, the March Madness, without having also won the SEC tournament. So going into March Madness, we want to have momentum. We want to be able to show that we can. You're going to be bruised and tired. The SEC tournament is physical. It's nasty. Teams, the officials, they seemingly, I think they let you play. It's a contact sport, and we're going to get tired. But here's the thing: the other teams that we play are going to be tired too. So getting that double bye is really important. And then hopefully we get some good matchups where it's like the other team isn't throwing punches back at us just like we are. And we can win the SEC tournament as well, because that's good mojo for Florida going into March.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. That's a really EJ. I love it because these like really interesting small facts that no one really knows about. Super intricate. I love it, dude. Rob's in the chat. What's going on, Rob? Been a while, Rob.
Yo, Rob,
back,
what's up,
baby.
man?
Why didn't we only clinch the SEC outright when we have the tiebreak over Alabama?
Yeah, it's a good question, Rob. So the SEC, for some dumb reason, they don't, when it comes to awarding the regular season champion, they don't look at it in terms of head to head. So if we were to lose our last 2 and Alabama were to win their last 2, we'd both be 14-4. They would give both teams a share of the SEC regular season championship. They wouldn't. So Alabama would get a trophy. Now, when it comes to the SEC tournament, the seeding would be Florida would be the number 1 seed because we'd both be 14-4, and the head-to-head is what would distinguish the seeding. But we didn't win it outright because there's still a chance that we could lose the last 2 and Alabama can win their last 2. So that's why we got to beat Mississippi State, get our backups in because we want everybody to be healthy, and it's over. We win it outright, and that's it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, EJ, any last words on this basketball team before we move on? I think we pretty much touched on everything there.
Let's get it. Let's get it. We're man, we are smoking, and it's always good to beat a team after the fans were talking a bunch of crap. Like Texas A&M fans were talking all that. We don't like Texas A&M fans.
Nah, dude, get out of here.
They were talking so much trash, and then we absolutely just destroyed them. Kentucky fan, I actually like Kentucky fans. Some of them were talking trash. We're gonna beat them when they come to Rupp, and then they went and lost another game, so that wasn't good for them. And now Arkansas, I kind of feel like we break the will of some of these teams. Like once we beat them, they just start losing games after that. I'm like, Arkansas, you still need to. You play Texas next. That's going to be a good game. Did we break their will or not? I don't know. And then also Player of the Year, SEC. I will probably do another video later about who that probably should be. We're obviously voting for our Sir Thomas Houck to win SEC Player of the Year, but he missed the dunk against Arkansas. Did you see that?
No.
I was like, okay, maybe it's the ankle. Please, is it the ankle? I don't know. God, Sir Thomas Houck. But he was laughing at it. I was just like, Boogie got the rebound and put it back in. But he did have a block, a really tremendous block on Darius Acuff, who everyone's probably going to vote for the SEC Player of the Year. Um, Even though to me, Thomas Houck is the best player on the best team, and Darius Acuff is a great scorer. He's a great ball handler. He's a great shooter. He's obviously a phenom. He's playing for Coach Calipari. He's going to get a lot of votes. But, you know, I would go for Thomas Houck, to be honest with you, but we'll see what happens.
We will see, man. I'm excited. So we play what, Mississippi State tomorrow night?
Tuesday.
Tuesday night, and then when's Kentucky? Is that Thursday?
That'll be Saturday.
Saturday? All right.
Yeah.
Well, there we go, baby. It'll be interesting to see, man. I'm excited. All right. Let's go ahead and dive into some other stuff, man. Spring ball officially here this week.
What?
This is great to see, baby. The Gators finally completed the gauntlet, which is, if you guys don't know what the gauntlet is, it's this intense workout that Rusty Witt, our new strength and conditioning coach, put on for our boys, babe. Basically what it is, it's a series of workouts in which you're grouped into a bunch of different groups, right? There's 6 stations. You have 1 hour to complete it. You're going to be at there's different rounds. So first round, you're at each station for 2.5 minutes, 4-minute break. Then second round comes around. You're at each station for 1 minute and 45 seconds, 4-minute break. And then the third round, 90 seconds at each station. The thing, though, and why we failed it about 6, 7 times in a row, is each little mistake you make takes away 3 seconds off the total time, which is an hour. So not only I should have added this up beforehand, but think about it. You have, the 2.5 times 6, and then the 4 times 3, and then the minute and 45 times. So you don't have a lot of room for mistakes at all, right? And this is a group of the entire football team in, probably 6 different groups, right? And so it's a team effort here about discipline and accountability. And finally, the Gators got it done a couple of days ago. So big defeat there, because they talked about it. Rusty Witt told his boys, Summerall told his boys, hey, if we can't get this done, spring ball's got to be delayed. We ain't going ahead until we get this done. And so I personally love it, EJ, that they're finally, number one, they cut it close, but they got it done. And it's good to see, the fact that these coaches are putting an emphasis on accountability, on, a team effort here, and on discipline is incredible. You know what I mean? And because those little things, we talk about it all the time, EJ, we talk about during the season, and something that Billy Napier's team struggle with was discipline. You know what I mean? All the time, whether it was coaching or players. And when as a coach, when you're not disciplined and you're out here putting 12 dudes on the field all the time, whatever it may be, that's just going to literally trickle down to the players, and you're going to see a team from the front office all the way down to the players. A team that's not disciplined, a team that's not that doesn't have any accountability, and it's just an absolute fire, hot mess there. And so it's cool that we're starting out this way, man. I love what our boys are doing, and now we can kind of smoothly cruise into spring ball this week, EJ. Which is exciting, man. Before I get into the spring ball schedule, anything you want to talk about when it comes to the gauntlet, baby?
Dude, I love what you just said about accountability. Like, I was like, when you said that word, I was like, yes, that's what I was going to say. We got to learn accountability, guys. Like, so I have a personal theory. Like, responsibility and accountability are sometimes used interchangeably, but they're different. Like, responsibility is, what is your specific job? Like, if you're a quarterback, you have a specific job that's different from a running back, that's different from an offensive line. Like, what are you responsible for? You got to do that. That's when, like, Will Muschamp would punch the blackboard and be like, do your job. And he'd punch the blackboard to, like, break his arm.
I love it.
That's responsibility, right? You do what you're responsible for. Accountability is something that distinguishes the great teams. And that is, we're accountable to the team to do what we're individually responsible for, but we're also accountable for showing up on time, completing, the gauntlet, showing fight and grit, showing respect to our opponents. We're all accountable for those things. And under Napier, we didn't have lots of accountability. Like, and then accountability is also like there's a consequence when you're not accountable. That's what teaches you accountability. And when Coach Witt and Coach Summerall are trying to instill accountability, they're like, oh no, we're not moving forward unless y'all all finish this. So you need to get your teammate and pull his ass up and say, we got to do this. I remember like I was in band. So, we were kind of, I'm not like playing football or anything like that, but it's the same thing. Like if I was a section leader for sax and you were in my section, Logan, and you didn't know your part, but I knew my part, most bands are like, oh, okay, whatever. He doesn't know his, I know my part. No, in our band, absolutely not. If Logan did not know his part, we got in trouble. Everyone who did know their part got in trouble, right? So that's the same level of accountability that this team has to have. Like if there's somebody next to you that doesn't know what they're supposed to be out there to do, they got the same jersey number, they're freaking running the wrong route, it's your fault. So that teaches accountability. And I'm happy to see them going through this type of gauntlet, because even if we lose, even if we go 6-6, which hopefully we won't, hopefully we'll be better than that. It's building that culture. It's building the foundation of that culture where we can eventually stack some wins.
Yep, exactly.
Love it.
Rob made a good point here. He said, come on, guys. Summerall was being too tough on the guys. Napier would let them pass if they didn't use any curse words. Trust the process. And then he said, accountability is the police for responsibility, which is, it's a great way to put it. And like you said, EJ, it's building this foundation. Even if we go 8-4 next year, which I think is what we'll do personally, 7-5, whatever, it's how it looks. You know what I'm saying? And if it looks disciplined, and if our guys are just not ready for it yet, then I take that over any day than a insane 8-4 year where it's just super, or even 9-3 year which is super messy and nasty. I'm really excited to see that foundation, and I think this is a good way to install it. Rusty Witt is bringing the grit, baby. Let's go. I love it. Spring ball officially starts this week. There's gonna be 15 total practices, 3 scrimmages with practices on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, except for spring break, which is the week of March 14th to 21st. In the orange and blue game on April 11th, which would be that Saturday. I'll be in Gainesville for that. I'm really excited, man. I'm going to be joining the Orange and Blue Fest, the little film festival.
Oh, yeah, that's really right.
Dope. Yeah. So we just did the meeting for that and getting all the specifics done there. So I'll actually be able to swing by the orange and blue game for a bit, which is pretty exciting, dude. So
nice.
I'm hyped. Love to see it. So that's going to be fun. EJ, you coming to Gainesville, baby? What's up?
So April 11th. Is that a Saturday?
It's a Saturday. It's on a Saturday again, thank God, instead of Fridays.
Yeah, like the Friday was like, what? Have we ever been good when the spring game is not on a Saturday? Like, who the heck decides that? At least Summerall's making that decision. And maybe it was the Gator that was on the field that told him, Saturday. I'm going to try to be there. If the Gators make March Madness, Final Four, Elite Eight, wherever the hell if we make it that far, I'm gonna be there, which is around the same time. Like, I think it might end right before the spring game. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I love it. Spring ball, man, excited for that, and we'll definitely come back a lot more consistently than what we have, especially with all these this intel kind of coming in from spring ball. We'll bring you guys all that information. Hopefully every single week. So because we're probably not going to be here every single week, or there's a chance that we won't, because we're moving in, a lot of stuff going on, just hit that little bell notification. If you are subscribed, if you're not subscribe, and then hit the bell notification so you're notified every single time that we're live or when we actually post a video, if it is pre-recorded. So especially EJ doing with March Madness and everything, a lot of videos probably be coming out. So we'll be here most likely every single week to kind of talk about everything, man. Should be an absolute blast. Now let's talk about the commits for 2027, man. Which is a crazy number to say, but 2027 is next year. The class is starting out pretty strong. So we got 2 commits since the last time we did a video. Starting out with 4-star cornerback Amir Nugent, I think. 5'11", 178 pounds, number 13th. He has a 13th cornerback in the country for that class. So a pretty good 4-star guy there. We'll see what he does this year, man. Really excited for that. And a guy who obviously has to put on a little bit more weight. 178 is probably not going to pass very well in the SEC as a corner. But it definitely more toward that primarily like nickel role is what a lot of people are kind of throwing him in. But it's from American Heritage. That's like the DBU of high school here in the state of Florida. And so I think the Wilson brothers came out of there, and a lot of Gators did in the past. So very excited to see him kind of start this class out correct. And then you have 3-star tight end Jackson Bollinger, I think, 6'5", 230 pounds, the 41st tight end in this class. So 3-star guy, but a guy who has a really big frame at 6'5", 230. We love a big body guy there on the outside. For sure. Not too much information on him though, so we'll kind of keep you guys in the loop once we get more information there. And then 5-star offensive lineman Maxwell Hiller, crystal balled 100% to the University of Florida, has not officially committed, but he's 6'5", 300 pounds. This is a guy who hasn't even started he's not even senior year yet. Like let that go through your brain. That is insane, dude. Not even a senior, still a junior in high school, and has that size on him. He's the number 4 player nationally ranked in that class. Unbelievable, dude. For a number 1 offensive lineman to be ranked that high, and then to pretty much be 100% crystal ball to University of Florida. Obviously, Ohio State's pushing hard. Georgia is another team that's pushing really hard for him. But kind of the typical suspects there. But if our boy Phil can bring him over, man, that would be massive there for this offensive line. And something we talked about, EJ, where we really need some offensive line depth, especially after losing Barber and Slaughter, and having some other key guys kind of leave this year after the season for the Florida Gators. But he's crystal balled, not 100% committed. But man, if we can get Maxwell to come over and commit within the next couple of months, you will start to see kind of momentum start to shift toward the Gators when it comes to the recruiting class. And man, that would be an insane. He'll be the highest rated commit in a long. I mean, you got DJ Lagway, but I don't even think DJ Lagway was as highly rated as this kid, dude. It's ridiculous,
dude. Like, if we can get Maxwell Hiller, like this guy is the number 4 I think he's the number 4 national recruit, like the 4th overall recruit, 98 overall, 5-star offensive lineman, 6'5", 300 pounds. He's from Pennsylvania. So Phil Trotwine, strong relationship there. You also know who's from Pennsylvania? Thomas Houck, National Player of the Year. Anyway, dude, the moment you start landing, and I know and technically anyone who's like a commit, how it's not like really binding, but he's basically a commit now that he's like fully crystal balled. When you start landing these top rated linemen, that is the base of the pyramid, people. That is the base of the pyramid. You had our best years, even in the last 15, where we haven't really won the SEC. The years that we were actually in the SEC championship game, you had a guy you could name on the offensive line or the defensive line. So I'm really a believer if we can land Hiller. Amari Nugent from American Heritage. I used to live in Sunrise, Florida. I'd have to pass American Heritage going to work every morning. I'd always look at the football field like, anyone coming to Florida? See them practicing out there. Like, these guys are huge. So I'm really excited for him. And also, I'll just say that it seems like Summerall is really trying to prioritize like the state of Florida. Like, we were at our best when we kept some of the top talent in the state. And, under Napier, he got some really good recruits, but he didn't really focus on keeping these guys in the state. I do think it has a lot to do with the brand right now. Like, the basketball team, their brand is on the rise because people in the state are like, oh, Florida's winning. I should go there. Right now, like, the team that's winning that's where the best recruits, which are all in Florida, are gonna want to go to. And so if we can get some of those talent, get some of that talent, stop them from going to Ohio State and Notre Dame and all this, but I think we got a really good chance.
I agree. And it's just going to get tougher and tougher. Like right now is the opportunity to get these guys coming here, man, because, I mean, Florida State, obviously not doing well. UCF's trash. Miami, though, obviously really pushing. But now's your opportunity because when you have that three-headed monster with Florida State also being very, very good, that's not great, man. And obviously they've been in a pretty bad drought here. And so now's your opportunity to kind of take advantage of that situation. So, if we can, like you said, kind of steal some of those guys, maybe from Miami, but really take all those guys that are interested in Florida State, I think that'd be good for the Florida Gators. So, but John Summerall, you can already tell he's a great recruiter. You know what I mean? There's no way to deny that. What he did with that class this past year, ridiculous, keeping every single guy except for that one running back. That's unbelievable. So yeah, no, very excited to see what happens with this 2027 class, CJ, but looking pretty good right now, man, especially if we can get Maxwell to sign those papers. So yeah, no, that's pretty much it for that 2027 class. Other thing, man, obviously the NFL Combine's going on. Carson Beck gets booed in Indy when he was doing his workout. Did you see that? Hilarious, bro. All those Indiana fans were talking shit to him while he was working out. He still threw some bombs, but, almost, even though there was no defender, still almost got picked off. Caleb Banks, though, and Tyreek Sapp out there turning heads at the Combine. Dude, Tyreek Sapp had that one-handed grab there, which was beautiful. And Caleb Banks, just in the interviews alone that he's been doing, is turning a lot of heads. But also, bro, pretty quick out there doing his 40-yard dash and his cone drill. And Caleb Banks is doing his thing, man, which we talked about, EJ. Like, Tyreek Sapp's obviously a very good player. But I think Caleb Banks is a great player. He just really couldn't stay away from, injuries. And that was kind of something that plagued him a little bit. But, man, if he was fully healthy these past couple of years, I mean, bro was just an absolute unit. And whenever he wasn't on the field, you could tell that nose tackle position was a problem. But a lot of these teams are running that 3-4 on defense in the NFL, which is quite a bit of them, especially now. I feel like that's becoming more and more popular. Caleb Banks, man, that dude is a nose tackle that they're going to absolutely love. He knows how to fill gaps very, very nice. I love watching him play. I think he'll be a really good pickup, dude. So he's helping his draft stock even more already, which is really good. You said, what about the 2027 quarterback? Do we have a 2027 quarterback? I don't believe so. I'm gonna check that real quick.
Yeah, I don't think we.
Oh wait, I think there was one. Did he? Hold up. I think there was one actually. If I'm not, there might be.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we haven't really. We're hoping Philo's gonna.
No, there's not an actual quarterback there. The only two guys that have officially signed is Amer and then Jackson, that corner and tight end. So there was someone though. Oh yeah, there's the one quarterback that we're going after. That's what it is. There's a quarterback that we're pushing for. Yeah, we don't, but who we're training for? Yes. Yeah, that quarterback. I think he's number 2 in the country. He's very, very highly ranked. It might be number 1 even. I did see some posts about that. We're not crystal balled for him yet, which is why I didn't talk about him. But a guy who, we are trending for him, and we'll see what happens there. EJ, I'm gonna try to I want to look that up, real quick. If you have anything else to say on that, EJ.
Yeah, I was looking. I saw that we were, going after a highly sought after quarterback. I've spent most of my time looking at Aaron Philo and sort of his, what he's going to be able to bring to the table. But let me see here. So,
okay, yeah.
Do you have his name?
Yeah. It's I believe it's David Davidson. I think this is the guy, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. We offered him in January 2026 again, and he has a spring visit coming in. And then Elijah Haven is the other one that we're also pushing for. He's the number 1 overall player and quarterback in the class, and that's another guy that we're also pushing for. So, this other guy, Davin, he is, I think number 20. 3 quarterback in the country, number 18 on the actual composite, while you have Elijah Haven, who's the number 1 guy. So yeah, both those guys are technically trending. We're kind of chasing both those guys to come to the University of Florida. But with Elijah Haven, he's actually crystal ball to go to Alabama. It's like Alabama, Auburn, and us are kind of the top 3. But it is looking like he's going to go to Alabama. So we might have our sights set on David Davidson. He's still a beat. I mean, he's 6'6", big body kid, 215, also from Sarasota. So that's a Florida boy right there.
Can we let's talk about this like at a high level real quick. So quarterback obviously is the most important position. We want to get a top quarterback. But are true freshman quarterbacks really worth it nowadays in terms of like the economics? Because, you got a certain NIL pot and you want a quick fix. You want to be able to win, right? Are you going to go out and spend that on a true freshman who you're going to have to give them NIL? Because remember, we got in trouble with the whole Jalen Rashada thing and, trying to give him $13 million, which I thought was, everyone should have been fired immediately after suggesting that. And only for the risk that this individual will develop and then move on, right? And not even contribute to the team. Maybe on the scout team, I don't know. But like when you look at the room now, we've got a freshman in Will Griffin who's coming in. He's presumably very, very good. He's from Tampa. We obviously have Tramel Jones. We're not related, but maybe we could be. Who knows? If he's good, we are. If he's not, I've never seen this guy.
Disown him.
And then we've got Aaron Philo, who's
also
the
young
favorite. And
they're all redshirt sophomore or under. So.
Right. And so isn't that the formula? I mean, when you look at the national championship game the last couple of years, how it's trending. Like Georgia always has like a guy who's been in college for 6 years is their quarterback. Miami is probably the top portal quarterback program in the country. Miami, I think 1, Notre Dame, I would say, is number 2. They had, Cam, what was the guy's name? Cam. I just know Cam.
Talking about Miami?
Yeah.
Cam Ward.
Yeah, Cam Ward. I always forget his name. I just know Cam. But anyway, they had him. He came in. He was sensational. He came from Washington State. They also just flipped and got Carson Beck, who came in from Georgia. Now they're going to get the Duke guy.
Darian Mensah. Yeah.
So they're going to be on, so you got an instant contributor. Indiana, Mendoza, a lot of people are like, oh, Mendoza's from Indiana. He was a no-star guy. Now, Mendoza was down. I'm in Oakland right now. Mendoza was down the street in Berkeley, like literally I could throw a rock and hit where he was practicing at like 2 years ago. So
also, you had O'Rourke before him. And,
yeah, you had exactly
the year previously. And then you have Notre Dame. I think it's 3 now in a row as well in transfer quarterbacks. So yeah, I mean it's something that's a really good point that Georgia hasn't done because they have guys that are under their system, like you said, for like 5 or 6 years, that are balding by the time they get on the field, literally. But then you have every other big program has at least 3 years in a row now got a transfer quarterback to come in. So it is a actual technique and formula that needs to be looked at a high degree. And like you said, we already have Will Griffin, 4-star guy, IMG, I believe, coming in now. You got Tramel Jones. You have Aaron Philo. These guys can play for another 2 years. You know what I mean? If they want to take the University of Florida. So I agree. I think it needs to probably be priority. Maybe next year. But as of right now, it's not. If we don't get the number 1 quarterback in the country, it doesn't really affect me as bad as like someone like Rob said, where an offensive line, you need to get those offensive linemen in here young, develop them. I think linebacker, edge rusher. There's a couple different things you could do recruiting wise that I think are a higher priority.
Yeah, and then like Buster Faulkner, who I just love what I hear from this guy. And, I think he's going to be a significantly better offensive coach than Billy Napier. I don't even think it's going to be close. But, he's got experience with transfer quarterbacks and, taking guys that he's seen like, okay, the system that you were in, like Haynes King, he was at Texas A&M. It was a system technically under Jimbo Fisher at the time that was really quarterback centric, good offensive line, but really relied on the quarterback to make a lot more reads when the reads maybe weren't there. And Haynes King also had, he got injured a little bit when he was playing over there. But he goes to Buster Faulkner, and Buster Faulkner's like, okay, you're big, you're strong, you can give me some runs. We got to be able to be multi-dimensional in the way that we attack people. Because number one, we don't have the best, fastest wide receivers in the world. We don't have the biggest, fastest, strongest offensive line. We're going to coach them up to play. We don't have, the number one running back. So we got to have a quarterback that can make the quick read, get the pass, get the ball out. And when we need you to pick up those yards, pound them, run it. We don't need you to run around someone, run through them. And so now you're bringing that to a program where presumably, we'll see, I don't know, we've got wide receivers that can get open. You've got Dallas Wilson. You've got Vernell VB3, for crying out loud. These guys should be, if they had those guys on Georgia Tech, they probably wouldn't have lost. So then you've got Jaden Baugh. I saw a shirt the other day, Baugh and Hauk, but it's Baugh and Haw. It's like 2026.
Yeah.
We need that. I'm gonna get that shirt. We're gonna get it for both of us. That is incredible. So anyway, I'm trusting in this Philo experiment. Let's see what happens. I mean, there's a lot of guys. If we can take Aaron Philo, who no one knew about, nobody wanted, except for Buster Faulkner, and develop him into a quarterback that's functional, can execute, can get you yards when you need them, can deliver the ball on time. We're balanced with a good running attack. We got a 5-star offensive lineman that'll join us next year to freaking maul people. Listen, I'm all in.
Yeah, 100%. And Rob said, don't forget Eric Singleton. I mean, you got Eric Singleton. You got Gross.
Oh, yeah.
You got or Gross, whatever, coming into. Bailey Stockton's in there too. You have TJ Abrams. You have Khalil Jackson coming back. Like, you can literally go on and on and on. This wide receiver group that we have, EJ, is so dirty. Something we talked about before. The only questions we have going into this year is, I'm assuming we're gonna look like what Georgia Tech was this year, but that throws the ball a little bit more. You're gonna see a little bit more RPO. You're gonna see. I think we're gonna do RPO heavy. That's what I truly think. Because if you're the linebackers and you see Jaden Ball about to get the ball, you know what I mean. And you're gonna crash down, which is gonna open up those slants, open up those little crossers, short crossers in the middle of the field every single time. Especially if you're playing a lot of zone and those cornerbacks are looking at or I guess nickels in that in that situation are gonna be staring at the running back. They're gonna let go of their job and go help out with Jaden Ball, hold that edge if they have to, whatever it is. The RPO, I think, with this offense can be so scary because you have Jaden Ball and you have you look at Dallas Wilson, and you look at Eric Singleton. I mean, those are already two NFL receivers right there, right? And then you have all these great. You have VB3, all these absolute monsters, young monsters behind them that you got to watch out because there's starters at other SEC schools too. But you have Jaden Ball in the backfield. All you need from this year, and we're going to talk about this entire offseason going into this new season for the Florida Gators. All you need is competent quarterback play that is super low in mistakes, and it's the bare minimum. You just need a guy that's going to go out there and be a game manager and do what they're supposed to do with a little bit of flash to them, which is what all these quarterbacks in this room have. and allow everyone else to just do their thing. And the
Exactly.
offensive line is going to be the big scary thing, but you have to rely on Phil Troutwine, and I know I do. He's, the best, if not one of the best offensive lineman coach or offensive line coaches in the country, and so you have to trust him there. But I mean, if our offensive line is even a little above average, the Gators have we're gonna have one of the best offenses in the country, one of the most fun offenses to watch in the country for sure, and defense is gonna be something to watch. But our head coach is a defensive-minded guy. So, there's a lot of, and what, Brad White has shown previously of a good competent defense, I think is going to be it. And in the specialists that we brought over, that one, best specialists, both of those guys, the kicker and the punter and the AAC. Yeah, this is a dirty little team this year with a lot of upside. So I'm very excited to see what happens in camp, man, to see a lot of the stuff coming out, because there's always one or two guys that pop out. And show themselves, especially in the spring game. So, and since it wasn't televised last year, we'll see what happens this year. But luckily, like I said, I think I'll be there for it. So I am very excited. But yeah, I'll stop yapping over here, UJ.
No, I completely agree. Like, also Patrick Dirk, we're replacing, our all everything kicker, which I hate years that we aren't good and we have a good kicker. Like, I feel like it's just a wasted kicker, you know what I mean? But Patrick Durkin, I think, is who we're bringing in. He made 25 field goals last year, which was third in the nation in field goal makes. He was a special teams player of the year in the AAC last year. And then Alec Clark is the punter, 46 and a half yards per punt. That is like crazy. So, it just goes, special teams has been a weakness for years, people. Other than having, Smack back there, smacking that, we've done nothing. Somehow we blocked a kick versus Texas. I don't even know how that happened because we never even rushed the kicker. So having two elite specialists, then you complement that with, some people that can. I don't know who's going to be punt returning this year.
You have so many guys back there that could too. That's what's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know if I like Bod being the kick returner. I
Nope.
I don't know if I like that. Like we need another. Who is that guy? It was Andre DeBose one year.
Andre DeBose was a beast, dude. That dude was a monster. Or
can we get Brandon
or
James?
Brandon Powell. Yeah.
Brandon Powell and Brandon James.
Brandon James was
like,
yeah.
Can we get one of these guys? And it's a game changer. Like South Carolina usually has a nasty, or Kentucky. That's how they beat us those 2 years. They had like a nasty punt returner, and we looked like we were stuck in mud trying to tackle the guy. I'm like, punt it out of bounds. Just kick the ball out of bounds if you can't cover. But anyway, I completely agree with that. And then I did want to just mention real quick the the wide receiver. Yeah, Eric Singleton. So Rob brought that up. And then Jalen Lloyd, who came to us from Nebraska and Oklahoma State. So hopefully our freshmen will get to see the Groyce and Daniel and Stockton, like you said. We'll get to see the field. But then Shanahan, the transfer on offensive line, and Boyer from Penn State. Hey, all I'm saying is, just like you said, if Philo, well, I mean, we're talking about Philo like he's already got the job. I mean, who the hell knows? Maybe when you go to the spring game, Tramel Jones looks like the better quarterback. I remember the last spring game I went to was the Felipe Franks versus Kyle Trask spring game. And I remember I was like, Kyle Trask looks like the better quarterback. Like, why is he not starting? And then sure enough, Franks got hurt, and then Trask comes in, and we actually do something. So I don't know. And let me tell you something, Logan. This is what we need to cover. You got to go to the spring game. And then when you go to the spring game, I need to know who's the better quarterback. Is it Tramel Jones or is it Philo? And then if it's Tramel Jones, are they just going to start Philo because he came from Georgia Tech? or are they going to do the right thing and start the guy who's actually the best quarterback? I don't know. We'll see.
It's weird because I feel like in the past, different like the worst quarterback has started for different reasons. I feel like when we were in the Dan Mullen era, it was all seniority. You know what I mean? Like he liked the guys that had a lot more years to kind of get the starting job. We saw that a lot with Dan Mullen. And if you go back to Kyle Trask and Felipe Franks, which is super early, I think the thing with Kyle Trask is he was a really good game player, but practice player wasn't. Like Kyle Trask wasn't, you know, he didn't have the best arm strength in the world, right? Like his balls weren't always incredible. Felipe Franks just showed, I mean, his arm talent and his talent was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I think when the game is going a little bit quicker in the game, actually in game on the field in the swamp, when you have 90,000 fans screaming, or at Neyland when you have 100,000, 110,000, whatever it is screaming at you, it changes. That speed freezes guys, and I think that there's a difference between practice players and game players. I think Trask was a game player other than a practice guy. But yeah. Anyway. I'm really excited to see it. I think that every single season there's been a player that jumps out in the spring game. That's where Jaden Ball was discovered a few years back.
Exactly.
That literally, like, think about it. It was Jaden Ball in 2023. Jaden Ball in 2024. And me and my dad were watching, and we were like, "Yep, that guy's going to be an absolute beast." And he turned out to be a beast. And then last year it was Dallas Wilson with 199 receiving yards or something insane.
Crazy.
And he turned out to be a beast. Obviously got injured, but we saw a flash in that Texas game. So there's always one guy that jumps out. We'll see what it's going to be like, man. April 11th in the Swamp. Really excited for that, EJ.
Yes.
Last thing we're going to touch on here, the baseball team. Baseball season's underway. Started out with a loss against UAB opening night, but haven't lost a game since. They're 11-1 currently.
11-1, yes.
Which is awesome, and the number 10 team in the country. They also just had a big series win over Miami. We got them, baby. So we got one more game against them, but swept their ass, baby. Love to see that. An SEC competition starts March 13th against South Carolina, who they're absolute trash this year. So should be a pretty easy way to kind of get accustomed to the SEC play. So see what happens with the baseball team, man. They got a lot of fire. They're hitting well. I'm excited to see what goes on with them this year, man. So a lot of good things happening for the Gators.
Brendan Lawson's doing great. I mean, so far this season,
if it's all about the pitcher, man. With these Florida teams, you know what I mean. Like when we have a good pitcher, things go great. when our everything in our bullpen's trash, it never works out well. So yeah, I'm excited for this year, man. We got some good players out there.
Yeah, and opponents are just hitting. What is a 23% batting against or hit rate against our pitchers so far. That is incredible, and 119 strikeouts. That's incredible.
They're dirty, bro.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like with pitching, I remember, Cags, who I really wanted him to come to San Diego, but freaking Kansas City. He was like Babe Ruth, basically. Like the guy could do everything. That's what we need. Okay. Now we do play FAMU on March 4th, which is my other alma mater. So hopefully we'll take it easy on them. And not beat them like 17-1 or whatever we normally do. But Florida State is March 10th. So I'd hate, and I remember we were on this streak in baseball where, and Sully, he likes to do this where it's like our lineups are trash in the midweek game, and then like Saturday it's like we're freaking throwing freaking sidewinder haymakers, from our bullpen. Hopefully we, take the midweek games a little bit more serious. Because I want to beat the crap out of FSU. Okay.
I can't. Yeah, I can't stand Florida State, dude. Rob said, did they cancel Game 3 against Miami? No. I think the game's still going on. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's tomorrow. I think that's the game that's tomorrow, or it might be today. Actually, might be today. It might be a weekend game. So we'll see what happens there. But either way, we won the series, so we love to see that. Especially with the scare starting out in the season with Sully taking a break and losing our boy over to Tennessee. So, but the guys seem like they're getting accustomed to the new way of things, and so really good sight to see there. So look, man, Florida Gator basketball getting into the most important stretch of the entire season. Really excited to see what our boys
it's
do
March.
there. It's March Madness,
Let's
baby.
go.
Let's get it. Oh, it is March today. Oh shit, today's
March 1st.
Let's go, baby. Hell yeah, it's gonna go down this year or this month, man. Very excited about that.
Yeah, we gotta wear our green. I gotta get you a green Gator shirt.
When's I got the camo one. I got that. I got the little camo one.
Oh,
I got,
okay.
Baby,
All right. You got the Gator camo.
When's when is it? When's St. Patrick's Day?
So St. Patrick's Day is usually on the 17th, but they celebrate it. Yeah, they celebrate it the Saturday before the 17th, typically around the country. So the 14th,
17th,
is when like most cities will celebrate St. Patrick's Day on March 14th. So like in Chicago, when I lived there, they dye the river green, and everyone's just plastered in the streets. So, and it's really fun for March Madness, by the way. So Saturday the 7th is our last regular season basketball game. And then March Madness, the SEC tournament actually begins on the 11th, Wednesday. We do not play until the 13th, which is interesting because it's Friday the 13th. Is that Friday the 13th? Man, so we got two Friday the 13th.
Oh my God. Already this year.
We just had a Friday the 13th in February.
Yeah, we did, bro.
I love Friday the 13th. Literally, we watch scary movies all night. Anyway, so Friday the 13th is when we'll play because we're a top seed. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Selection Sunday is on the 15th. The NCAA tournament will start technically Tuesday the 17th. So the NCAA tournament will technically start on St. Patrick's Day with the play-in games in Dayton. And then Thursday the 19th will be the first round. So, and it'll go every weekend until the national championship, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, first round, Sweet 16, Elite 8. Wait. Is the national championship during the spring game? It can't be.
Shouldn't be, right?
Let me see. When is the Final Four? It's in Indianapolis, and 1 year it's going to be in Vegas. Okay, the 3rd and Saturday the 4th. Okay. So the Final Four will technically be the week before the spring game, because I was like, okay, they got to be smart enough to not have the spring game during the Final Four when we potentially can make it. So, all right, so that's good.
Beautiful. I love it, baby. Yeah, no, it's stuff's heating up, man. Stuff's heating up. Spring ball starting for the football team. Basketball's doing their thing, the most important stretch of the season. And then baseball, obviously, going to be getting into SEC play very, very soon, man. So I'm excited, EJ. It's a great stretch. Also, indoor women's track and field just won a national championship. Feels good to be a Florida Gator, baby.
Everything school.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Let's go. But we appreciate you guys watching this video, man, and checking out the stream if you are watching it live. Appreciate you, Rob, always, man, for getting here and chatting with us. Always a blast, man. Look, like I said, y'all hit the notifications. They're notified every single time we post, every single time we go live. A bunch of these mini videos will be going out throughout the week, and EJ will definitely be pumping some basketball content out, so don't you guys worry about that. But we'll most likely be here every single Sunday for at least the next couple of months, man. Very, very excited. Great stretch here, EJ. Any last words you got to say to everyone out there before we head out?
We're going to bring you guys more content. I'm going to do some basketball videos. Maybe Logan will join us, hopefully. It'll be good luck if he watches. I remember last year when he didn't watch us, we lost. So what the hell? Hopefully he'll watch us more this year when we get to March Madness.
Oh, for sure.
I'll text you the games because, they start at weird times during the tournament. And, we're at work and we're like, the game's on. Put the game on. And Rob said, where haven't you lived, EJ? So I feel like I'm LeBron. I definitely am like LeBron because I lived in South Florida. I moved because, he was in Miami. Then he moved to the Midwest back to play at Cleveland. So I was in Chicago and then Southern California. But now I'm in Northern California. So, been around.
That's actually insane. I mean, you were in Tally, in Gainesville. You're everywhere,
yeah.
bro. It's crazy.
Yeah. I'll have some stories to tell.
Oh yeah. Y'all be, hey, EJ stories with the EJ coming soon, baby. Y'all be ready for that little branch off of Swampcast. But no, we love y'all, man. We appreciate y'all. Stay ready for all these videos coming out, man. Excited to start pumping out content again. If you guys got any suggestions on what you want to see, definitely let us know. All of our links to our socials will be down in the description down below. But we love y'all, man. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you soon.